Hey everyone, hey Zwifters, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at a race, a Category A race that is very competitive, and I'm going to be talking about what we can learn from the top Zwifters in the game. And this will go over things like patterns that you can see in Category A races, and things that you can learn from what they're doing and how you can apply that to your own racing in your own category. Let's dive into the video. The first part of this video will be patterns and observations that I have in Category A races, and then the next part will be what you can learn and how you can actually apply that to your own racing. So the first thing that you'll notice with this Category A race is that really 5 seconds into the race, it's already settled down and the group is already into one nice blob. It's not like Category B, C, and D races where it's pretty chaotic at the start and everyone's sprinting for a good position, because there's kind of a sense of connection between these riders and they all kind of know what each other's intentions are and how they want to play this race well. So you can see that they all know what they're going to do, and you can see that in this race, there are lots of riders. There's actually 30 riders in this race, and you can see that they're already in a nice tight blob within 40 seconds. Everything is slowed down, and that brings me to my next point, which is that Category A races are either really punchy or they're really chill. So you can see right here, right now they're going around at 3 to 4 watts per kilo, which is below threshold for most of these riders. Most Category A riders have a 4.5 to 5 watt per kilo FTP, so they can sit very comfortably in the 3.5 to 4 watt per kilo range. And then further emphasizing my point, you can see that this rider right here, Adrian Alvarado from Wahoo Lake Colt, just goes straight off the front. And this is because, as I said earlier, Category A races are either really punchy or really chill. And what you saw there was a pretty chill part, and now it's getting into the punchy area. And another thing that I want to talk about in this video is how they kind of let breakaways go. These are all very experienced riders, and they know that they can reel this rider back in because the gap is not that big yet, and most of these riders know who each other are. They know who they need to be watching out for, and one of the ways to do that is by looking on Zwift Power. That's a way to see who's in contention for the win, who is what type of rider, along with zrace.bike. Zrace.bike is another app that allows you to see what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are. So that's kind of the next thing, which is that riders, they know that they can bring a breakaway in. They know when to chase, when not to chase, because as I said earlier, most of these riders are experienced riders outdoors too. So they have a lot of these tactics and they apply them to Zwift too. The next thing that you can sort of notice is that when there's about a rider that comes up right next to this rider right here, and they end up joining forces in order to make this breakaway a bit more successful. And what's important to note about that is that most times in Category B races or C races, someone would just surge up to the leader and then they'll just sit on their wheel and they won't work together. They won't do anything like that. There's no tactics whatsoever, and there's literally no teamwork between the riders in the breakaway, and that kind of ruins the breakaway. But in Category A, something that I've noticed is that riders are a lot more responsible and they're a lot more willing to pull to help this breakaway succeed and make the race more interesting. You can see that immediately he's putting in a 7 watt per kilo pull, and Alvarado is starting to drop back. But you can see that later on in the clip, I am going to show a real breakaway where there are riders taking turns, taking pulls, and that's really great to see. And that's something that Category B, C, and D riders do not normally do. So you're about to see something pretty cool happen, and that is that the rider in the front is going to super tuck, and that is going to bring them out of the draft, because now you cannot be in the draft when you are super tucking. And you're going to see that this is a very strung out race, so the riders in this race are actually very clever, and they're going to use this as an advantage or as a chance to create a breakaway. And pretty soon you're going to see a breakaway up the road, and most of the riders won't even notice that the breakaway is there until things settle down again. And that is something that is really tactical, and really using this like dirt part and using the momentum of the group to get some separation is a really great way to start a breakaway. So now on to what you can actually learn from this. Well, I do have a completely separate video all about tips and tricks on how to win your first Zwift race. You can see that up in the info card above in the upper right hand corner. But putting that aside, I'm going to still give some tips here and some tricks that you can take away specifically from these riders who are some of the top riders in the world. And taking a look at their rankings, one of them had a ranking of 46 for this race, which is pretty incredible, and that is like easily top 10 in the nation for esports cycling. Alright, so something that you can learn from these riders is that they play their strengths really well, and you can see that by how they also know the courses really well. They know when to attack, they know exactly when the group is split up and when they should be making their moves. You can see that by when they were going down the descent, they didn't just ease off and use that as a chance to recover. They were actually attacking on that descent, using that as a chance to get separation and kick up dirt so that riders can't see them getting away. And that's something that's very tactical that most riders don't do. Honestly, I would just be super tucking down that climb, trying to get as much recovery as possible, but these riders are putting that descent to work and really using it to their advantage. The other thing to take away from this is teamwork. It is really important to work as a team, and right here you can see that really coming in handy, and these riders are getting such a big gap and they actually stay away for quite a long time, and these riders are pushing pretty hard and they're giving it their all. They're committed to this breakaway, and that's something that most riders don't do in other categories. They don't fully commit to the breakaway. They're worried that they're going to get caught and worried that they won't have enough energy to sprint, but that's really what causes breakaways to fail. And I talk about that in other videos about how you can create a successful breakaway, and I also have that up as an info card in the upper right hand corner. So really is important to work as a team and really stay committed to the breakaway. You can see that those riders are working together even though they likely don't even know each other, and they just know that they need to be committed and they need to be giving it their all if they really want this breakaway to work. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is how competitive they are. Some of them are here to take the win, some of them are here just to get a workout. But no matter what, they're just still trying to have fun and enjoy this race and use it as a chance to improve their skills and all that fun stuff. They're not here like preparing months for this race. It's not something where like if they lose the race, their career is over. They're treating this as a fun way to socialize and interact with other riders while racing and putting their tactics to play. So really just enjoying the race and embracing the race is really important to help you enjoy that, and that'll keep you going throughout the years as a racer, and that'll really help propel you to enter your next Zwift race and really stay consistent with your racing. And that is how you can really improve your racing skills. Now, going back to my point on how these riders are committed to the breakaway, you can see that they continue to push here even though the chances of them staying away are very slim, with nearly 2/3 of a mile left, so around a kilometer left in this race, and the group is actually closing down the gap pretty quickly and they're about to hit a climb. They're still pushing 7 to 8 watts per kilo, and that is not an easy thing to do. And you can see here this rider from HDR pushing over 500 watts, and they're still committed to this breakaway. They are still giving it everything they have, and they're going to empty out the tank before the line, and you're going to see that come into play really handy right here, because you can see that they really made the most of their breakaway. They tried as hard as they could and they made it last for as long as possible. And once you get good at it, it's something that you'll be able to pull off successfully. And one day these riders will likely be in the winning breakaway. Another thing that I want to point out is that a lot of these riders are category B riders pushing themselves to race with higher categories. That is another thing that you can really use to improve your fitness, improve your racing, improve your skills, because preparing for that next category is what you need to be doing in order to race that next category. And that's something that I did to kind of get adapted to category B races. I started with smaller category B races and slowly worked my way up, and eventually I was at the top of category B and I could pretty easily get top 10 in a category B race. And that was all just from practicing racing and improving my tactics and putting some of these tips that I just gave you to play. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like, subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. And with that, thanks for watching, ride on, and see you all next time.